recently I was invited to one of my friend's weddings as just a guest. I wasn't there to take photographs, I was just there to party. And I thought it would be a good idea to bring the X100V. And I can't describe to you how much fun it was shooting with this camera, how much I enjoyed it, how much my friends enjoyed it, and how incredible the images were that came out of this camera at the end of the day. And this got me thinking, is the Fuji X100V the best camera for capturing life moments and other life events? And obviously I am quite biased, but I tend to think yes, this camera is the best. And there's nothing else that I know of, at least. There may be some niche companies out there that does everything the X100V does, plus some. And whether you're at a wedding or a sporting event with friends or a nightclub with friends, or hopefully not in a nightclub with your kids, I think that there's no comparison with any other camera to the X100V. And as usual, we are going to completely ignore specs because the specs do not matter. There's two things that matter in a camera, and that is our user experience, me and you, how we feel when we use a camera, and the images that are produced at the end of it. That's the only two things that matter. And so we are now going to talk about why this camera helps you to stay in the moment whilst taking these photos, while still capturing these beautiful memories, as well as the different things that I really like about this camera that facilitate us to be able to take better, more interesting photos. And a quick little caveat, all of the photos I'm going to show you are always going to mean more to me than to you, because I was there, I experienced this, and these are my memories essentially. And try to think, okay, what if that was my friend? What was going on with like my pals, and what memories could I wish? What memories do I wish I was able to capture? And that is going to help you really understand the nuance of the X100V. And a quick shout out to Jay Harrison and Mahishwar, I think that's how you say your name. Please correct me in the comments and how you pronounce your name. But thank you so much to both of you for both getting me some wonderful coffees that I'm going to absolutely cherish on my next photo walk. So thank you very much, dudes. I can guarantee that my friends and I 1000% have the best photos because of this camera, and arguably had more fun because of this camera. So hear me out when I say this. Yes, having a camera means that people go, hey, you're the cameraman. You're the guy who's gonna make me look good. So people ask you to take those pose photos, and that's fine. That's our bread and butter. We do that all day and night. It's easy. Stick it down to F2 and just boom, easy, right? But that isn't where this camera excels. This isn't what this camera specializes in. This camera creates and captures those candid, beautiful moments. And that is where the magic is. When you point this camera at people and you don't look through the viewfinder and you just kind of pop shots off, people then start playing up to the camera. People then are carrying on what they're doing, but also like, oh hey, he's taking a photo of me, I'm just gonna be a little bit quirky, a little bit more fun. And that way you're then getting more interaction between the person and the camera. People are actually doing things. You're involved in moments, right? And because you're involved in these moments, people are then sharing genuine emotion. People are genuinely happy because they're having fun dancing, because they're eating good food, because they're having a joke with their friend. That is the emotion that we are trying to capture when we're shooting with this. You don't want that staged shot that's kind of like, I'm happy at a wedding. Like it just doesn't work that way. You want to be capturing those moments, those little experiences, those things that are happening that are just interesting to view. And these are also going to be your memories. These are the things you want to remember. You don't want to remember the like just stiff, rigid people portraits. You want to remember the moments, the dumb stuff you're getting up to, and things you probably shouldn't take photos of. Those are the things you want to be taking photos of and trying to remember. Honestly, it feels like such a hack. This camera, it just does something different, and you can't get that with some big boy Sony that you're like, hey, fucking yeah, ooh yeah. It's not playful. It's too like look at that. That lens is just crazy versus this little playful thing. That feels intimidating. You're like, I can see into the camera's soul and the camera can see into my soul. And so, X100V is the best camera for being playful. Trust me. I've said it before and I will say it again. 35mm is king. There's something about 35mm that feels so real. And so, yes, there's the debate that a lot of probably old blokes have on the internet saying, well, 38.75mm is actually the closest equivalent to our eyesight that we have. Maybe, I don't know. But what I do know is that when you start going through like 28, 24, 20, going wider and wider and wider, you're then getting wide angle distortion. That is a lens characteristic, a visual signature. That's what I'm looking for. These lenses that go wider and wider and wider, their visual signature is wide angle distortion, and that distortion almost like makes the photo interesting in itself. You can take a photo of anything at 10mm and you'll be like, oh, that's kind of funky, it's kind of interesting. And you go the other way and you have telephoto lenses where you've got 50, 80, 135, all the way up to whatever. And these have compression, these have massive bokeh balls, and that is kind of it feels very like high-end and professional. Whereas 35, the visual signature, you tell me, what is it? I think it's very flat. It feels like real life. It feels like you're just there. It doesn't feel like there's any sort of characteristics really being placed on the image. And that is perfect for things like this that you're trying to capture as memories. Why? Because it feels like you're there. It feels like you can just dip in and out of it. When you see a photo at like 200mm, you're like, well, that looks like a professional photo. Whereas you see something at 35mm and you're like, oh, that feels like I could have been there. And that, to me, is so, so powerful. And I love that about this. And with this little bubba of a 35mm lens, it's so cute, isn't it? It is so small that you can take it with you everywhere. You can carry it with you in your hand. It's not heavy. It's not a burden to carry with you. But it's also not small enough that you're always just putting it away in your pocket. It can very comfortably sit in your hand all day. I'm literally always carrying it here, playing around with it with the toy, because then it's so easy to take a photo. That is perfect, because that means that you're always ready to shoot. You're never having to go, oh, hang on, whip it out, bring out my camera from around my neck, whatever. It's always in your hand. And so you can be just firing off shots. You can be just walking around with friends and just go, and you have then captured a memory that all of you are going to look back on. And plus, it's so small that if you do get tired and you put it down there, your friends are going to go, that looks fun, and we'll pick it up and we'll take photos. And that means that you also get candid photos. You get your friends having fun, your friends playing it, your friends getting into photography, and they may even start to ask you questions and ask you for camera recommendations. You can get them to get you one of these, and then you can then get more and more candid photos because they're going to be taking candid photos of you, and it's going to be a beautiful spiral of X100V goodness. So, small boy, fire. One thing that I never thought I would say is I actually love the inbuilt flash on the X100V. And hear me out when I say this. I didn't even realise there was a flash there until like a few weeks ago. I was like, is that a flash? I tended to typically hate on-body flashes because it's on-body, it's not very directional, it's often not very exciting. Once you learn the very, very basics of it, it's a fucking game changer. So what I've done is I've set up in my Q menu that I've got not autofocus, I've got flash function to continuous. So that means it's gonna fire off, wait a couple of seconds, and it will go again, and it will go again, and it will go again. And I found that if you were a few meters away from your subject, not too far, maybe like 1.5 meters to 2 meters, so that's maybe like 2 yards, 3 yards, I don't know, and you fire a photo, those people that you've just pointed your camera at are going to be perfectly exposed, and everything behind that is going to be dark AF, and you're not going to be able to tell what's going on. And so that means that if someone is doing something funny, you are going to create some incredible character separation from the background. You are going to be able to get just the scene that is going on right in front of you, the funny moment. And that was something that I never thought I would ever enjoy, because the idea of sticking a big old flash onto any sort of camera and creating some sort of disgusting hybrid unicorn type thing doesn't appeal to me at all. But in this, when you're messing about, taking candid photos, honestly, hands down, a game changer. Another thing is when you're in low light situations, shooting black and white, honestly, it adds to the effect of creating a memory as opposed to trying to take like a beautiful photo of something. It feels a little bit more creative, a little bit more artistic. But the main thing that I really love about it is that typically noise in color images looks absolutely trash. Any noisy, really noisy image just looks absolutely awful. Whereas in this, I was shooting on the Acros film simulation. I'm pretty sure I was at like 6000 ISO. And I did a bit of grain afterwards. And it just looks like a grainy old memory, which looks sick. It looks so good. And so that's something that I absolutely love. I do have presets, they're free, buymeacoffee.com. Yeah, I highly recommend it, honestly. Fire. And yeah, there's literally nothing I would change about this camera for capturing life moments, life events, and for just being such a fun toy for both me, the people I'm capturing, but also my friends to also capture their own memories using this. It is honestly a gift to be able to use this camera. We are so lucky to have this. The one thing I would consider, is the battery life sucks. I say sucks. It's not that bad. I went through 2 whole batteries, which is quite a lot, and I felt like it was going down quickly. Probably because I was using the flash, but bear that in mind next time you're using it. But yeah, honestly, this camera, absolute beast. I wouldn't change anything for the world. And if anyone has any other cameras that they would like to recommend as being better than this, comment down below. We can go toe to toe, me versus you, champ. Let's go. But yeah, until next time, peace.